Yo, what up, world? 502 King Paul coming to y'all with another video. Man, first off, I just want to thank y'all for the continued support, watching the channel, sharing the videos, liking the videos, leaving the comments, being a shoulder for each other in the comments to lean on, just giving different advice, man. Truly appreciate y'all, and I hope that y'all having a blessed day. One thing that I'm learning in my life, man, is you have to be careful as to how you spend your time. You gotta be careful as to how you spend your time. And what I mean is, as long as it takes you to get yourself into something in life, is as long as it's gonna take you to work yourself out of it. Now, I know on this channel I talk about addiction a lot, right? Talk about different kinds of addiction, not just drugs, but different kinds of addiction. And one thing, when I look at it, man, I've been completely sober for over a year now. No drugs whatsoever. And one thing that I realized on my journey to sobriety and through sobriety, man, is that as long as it takes you to get yourself into addictions, as long as it takes you to work your way out of addiction. It's a journey, man. Life's a journey. It's a journey. And it's not just with addiction. This is with anything in life. The first 8 or 9 years of my adult life, I worked very hard on completely screwing up my credit. So when the light bulb came on in my head, I realized it was going to take me just as much time to build my credit back up. Now, by the grace of God, I've been able to very much improve my credit in a short amount of time compared to how long it was that I messed it up. But in order for me to get where I want to be in life, credit-wise, I got to make sure that I continue on this path for just as long as it took me to mess it up. Same way with relationships. A lot of people, man, they go through these relationships, right? And they have troubles in their relationships. They get into it with their girl or they man, whatever. And, you know, y'all might have had a turbulent relationship for a couple of years. Well, now you want to change things around. Now you want to do things better. But you want things to be better overnight. You want things, you know, y'all had a crazy relationship for 2 years and now, you know, things have been good for a couple of months and you want everything to go back to how it used to be. How it used to be. But if it took you a couple of years to ruin trust, or, you know, a couple of years of not treating your spouse in the best way, or them not treating you the best way, it's going to take a couple of years for y'all to get back into a good place. I just spoke with a woman yesterday who she'll be married for 40 years. 40 years. It's one of my coworkers. 40 years later on this year. It's a very long time. And she made a joke about how her husband says he doesn't know how he stayed in it for that long. And she makes the same joke back with him that she doesn't know how she stayed in it that long, but it's because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And however long it takes for you to mess up is how long it takes for you to get back and correct your mistakes, get on a better path. The key thing to all of these, whether it's addiction, your finances, your relationships, is to remain consistent. Remain consistent in your behaviors, in your good behaviors. Now, with my addiction, I look back over time, man, and I can say that I truly, you know, I had smoked before. I had did, you know, drugs before I turned 18. But at 18, that's when I would say that I was fully just submerged in my addiction. Submerged in my addiction at that point, man, where I just couldn't function without it. I couldn't function without it. I didn't want to function without it, is a better way to put it. And I remained that way for many years to come. Well, it got to the point where I said, I want to get out of this. I gotta get out of this. I gotta get out of this addiction. I've been in this addiction for all these years, and I have to get out. But just as long as it took me to fall into my addiction and to stay in that addiction, it took just as long for me to work towards getting out of it. It took just as long. And I wouldn't say that that time period started when I stopped smoking weed, because I stopped. I mean, I wanted to stop years before I actually did. But I was so accustomed to this being a part of my life. I was so accustomed to blinding myself as to what was going on around me in the world that I just didn't care for. I was so accustomed to numbing my pain through drug use. I was so accustomed to just ducking and dodging my responsibilities in life through drug use. My depression, I was trying to run away from that through drug use. And so it took just as long, man, for me to finally come out of it. It took just as long. You know, if I was in it for 6 years, I spent the second half of that 6 years just, hoping for a breakthrough. I'm like, come on now. I got to get out of this. But I just kept on and kept on and kept on. And I tried to stop, and then I'd stumble and I fall back and I relapse and go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And eventually it got to the point where I said, okay, make a list of all of your whys in life. Why? Why do you need to stop? The people, the things, the lifestyle changes, what is it that's going to be your driving factors? Now put these things up next to weed or whatever drugs it is that you may be battling with. Which column is going to be more important in your life? Look at the pros and cons. Is it worth the money? Is it worth the time? Is it worth your energy? Is it worth, you ducking and dodging all the stuff that I named before, depression, your anxiety, life problems? Is it worth all this? Because you're going to have to make a sacrifice either way it goes. Which one is more important? Now, there are a lot of people that know exactly what I mean when I say I had to stop smoking weed. There's a lot of people that agree with me. There's a lot of people who want to be inside that same boat, but they're working their way out. Some people have been smoking for 5, 10, 15 years and they want to stop. Some people that will just have that light bulb come on today, and it may take you some years to get to the point to where you actually stop. Or you may have been working on it for so many years, but you still got a little bit more time to work on it. The people who support me and who I surround myself with on a day-to-day basis, man, they are proud of the fact that I stopped smoking. You got some people who, a few, you got a few that will go down inside the comments and start talking about, man, weed is not that bad. It's not that bad. You just abuse it. You just don't know how to use it. You just don't whatever. Man, we are past that. For the people who want to stop, we're already past that. I've never put out a video and said, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing that. I'm not in the business of raising grown people. I'm not in the business of raising adults. I would never tell an adult what to do with their life. All I can do is share my life experiences and hope that it can help others. That's all I'm doing. I'm not telling you, don't do drugs. Drugs are very bad. The only people who I would come at like that, honestly, is if I knew a child who was caught up in addiction. I would tell them straight up, hey, it's probably best that you stop. Probably best that you cut this out right now before you go down this path that you cannot get off of. I'm not just talking about weed. I know kids that do pills, that do all kind of stuff. It's kids that do dope. And I had no idea that, it was this bad for a lot of our youth. So, yeah, I'm going to come at the youth like that. But as far as the adults that watch this channel, do what you want to do with your life. I'm just letting you know, the longer you stay in it, the longer it's going to take for you to come out of it. And people ask me all the time for different kind of advice and stuff, man. I always start off with, what are your whys? Why do you want to stop? Why do you want to stop? If you don't have whys, if you don't have a real reason why you want to stop, then you're not going to stop. Point blank, period. You're just not going to stop. It's not something that you want to do. It's not something that you see the value in. So don't even worry about it. You can go on to another video. You can go on to another YouTube channel. You can go back to smoking and doing whatever it is that you want to do with your life, because it's your life. But for the people who do want to stop, man, I always say list out your whys first and foremost. Then find a different set of habits. Find something else to do. I've been consistently now going to the gym almost 2 years. And when I say consistently, I mean every week I'm going to the gym at least 4 to 5 days out the week. At least. Some weeks I may go 6 days out the week. I always try to give myself an off day because we all need a day to rest and recharge. But I've been consistently doing this now for almost 2 years. Like I'm really going. I had to replace that habit. Even when I was smoking weed, I still was going to the gym, and I already started up that habit. I make sure that my schedule is filled up. I make sure that I'm not just sitting around throughout my day and just not doing anything productive. I'm wanting to make sure that I continue to put out videos on YouTube, whatever it was I needed to do. If I had to make sure that I put in new habits inside of my life, that I had a new routine. That was the most important, because once you smoke for so long and you just get content with how your day just flows and goes, and you have no real direction as to what you're trying to do, it's very hard for you to stop smoking weed. Also, I had to get my prayer life way better. I had to get my personal relationship with God way better than what it was. I wasn't talking to him. Now, every day, as soon as I wake up, I pray. Throughout the day, I'm praying. Every time I get inside this car and I'm about to move my vehicle, I'm praying. Every time, let me speak on that too. Let me speak on that for just a moment. You heard me just say, every time I got into my car, I prayed, right? The one time that I did not do this was the night that I got into the accident that could have been the end of my life. So never forget the things that seem very small. Don't forget those conversations with God throughout the day. Just keep that relationship there. Just how you enjoy talking to a good friend, a loved one. You got to make sure that you keep that relationship and that communication open, because as long as you communicate, if you talk, he'll talk back. Through your circumstances, through certain things and outcomes that you see inside of your life, he'll be talking back to you. Every night before I go to sleep, I make sure that I pray. If I'm by myself, I may just, pray inside of my head. We may have that conversation in my head, or I may speak out loud. But if I have my children with me, I make sure that I am praying out loud and that we pray together. So that way I'm setting the standard for them through the examples that I'm showing. So I would say that those things are the main things. And a lot of people ask me about the whole, what to do about the crazy dreams. Honestly, I mean, I just had to go through it for a while, man. I had to go through it. I had to go through it for about a month and a half of just intense, crazy dreams when I stopped smoking weed. I exhausted myself throughout the day. I filled up my schedule. I did everything that I could possibly do to just make sure that I had no energy left at the end of the day, but I still had the crazy dreams. And honestly, over a year later, I still have crazy dreams, but it's not the type of where I'm waking up just, in tears, or waking up in fear, and, waking up with all this different anxiety and depression. I'm not waking up in that way anymore. I still have crazy dreams, but I just pay attention to my dreams differently, and they don't impact me the way that they used to. Because it's not, when you first stop smoking and then you have you start dreaming again, for one, you don't even realize that you haven't been dreaming. For most people, you don't even realize it, because you're just going to sleep and you know, waking up and just going on about your day. So most people don't even pay attention to that. But then it's like when you start having dreams again after years of not having them or being able to remember them, it's like a shock to your system. It's like a complete shock to your system. And it's very emotional. It can be very traumatizing. But you just have to go through it, man. Just take notes. That's the only thing I can suggest for people that's going through this, man. Take notes. Wake up, do your journaling. Just this morning, I did a little bit of journaling. I just wrote it down inside my iPhone because it was the easiest thing I could get to at that moment. I wanted to write down exactly what happened before I forgot it. But it helps you to understand some of the subconscious thoughts that you have, that we all have when we start to write down our dreams. But just keep in mind, y'all, I don't want to stretch this out too long, but just keep in mind that however long it takes you to get into something is how long it's going to take you to get out. So just be careful and be wise about how you use your time, man. It's 502 King Paul. Again, I love y'all so much. I truly do. I truly look at y'all as my online family. You know, I look forward to some of the comments. Some of y'all have been around since day one, and I love seeing y'all. I love seeing y'all. Back when the subscribers was literally like 15 people, and some people have been around since then consistently, and are still around now. And I just truly appreciate y'all more than what y'all probably will ever realize or ever know. But I just thank y'all so much. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you take a moment, go hit that subscribe button so you can get all the new videos as soon as I drop them, man. Leave a like if you like anything about this video whatsoever. It goes a long way to running it up in the algorithm, getting it out to more people. If you benefited from this video in any way, just hit the like button. It doesn't cost you $1, doesn't cost you a penny for you to just show a little bit of support and get this out to other people as well, man. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Continue to leave comments on the other videos and reach out to those people that I may not have been able to get in contact with, or they may have questions. They may need some help. They may need some advice. You know, continue to reach out and just be a shoulder for each other. Love y'all, man. 502 King Paul. Till next time, I'm out.